Good morning, everyone. This video hasn't even started, but there are already some issues we have to address. There are some road closures on the roads that I was going to go down today. We have this lovely sign that says fire activity, 500 road closed ahead. Unfortunately, that is the road I wanted to drive today. But let's back up a little bit. In the previous video, in case you missed it, I wrecked the RAV4. I hit a deer just a few miles into Canada, and the RAV4 is out of action for the moment, possibly indefinitely. I'm still waiting to hear back from the insurance people on that. And so that happened about 5 or 6 days ago, I think. Since then, I was eventually able to make it back home, and then I grabbed the Land Cruiser. This is my 2000 Toyota Land Cruiser, in case you're new to the channel. I grabbed this and drove back into Montana, although right now I'm in northern Idaho. And there are a couple of things to update you guys on with regards to the Land Cruiser. First, I bought one of these, a Hitch carrier, a Hitch basket thing to try out. I'll talk more about this later. Then also, I sold the rooftop tent, and so the top of the cruiser is looking a little bit bare. I do have some recovery boards strapped to the top, but that's about it. So she's looking a little bit naked up there. So this is Idaho, and right now we are about up here. This morning I was in the Missoula, Montana area. And then do you see this red line right here? That is US Highway 12, also called the Northwest Passage Scenic Byway. It also happens to be this road right behind me, this highway out here. And it's supposed to be just an incredibly scenic drive. But that actually wasn't the plan. The plan wasn't to drive this highway. The plan was to drive a dirt road up on the ridge above that parallels this highway called the Lolo Motorway, or the Lolo Trail. And that is a route that Lewis and Clark took on their expedition to the west, across the continent. They covered this area up on that high ridge up there. But that's where this comes back into play. 500 road. That is the Lolo Motorway. And so we are unable to drive the entirety of the road today. And so I think the new plan, as I'm thinking on my feet here, is to do a little bit of both roads. A little bit of the paved Highway 12, a little bit of the dirt Lolo Motorway. And together, both of these roads are about 200 miles long, and it's supposed to be just incredible driving whichever route you take. You could conceivably do a loop where you start on the paved highway, then you go up to the ridge and then come back to this area, which would be an incredible drive. But again, we're not able to do that today. And so I think we're gonna start a handful of miles actually back up the road toward Montana, because there's a really cool sign up there that I wanna show you guys. Check this out, winding road next 99 miles. That's how you know it's gonna be a good day of driving ahead. And so the plan is to drive this road, the paved highway, in that direction for several dozen miles, I think, or a few dozen miles anyway, and then hang a right and then take kind of a shortcut, a side road up to the ridge, up to the dirt road. And so we can bypass the area, I think, that's closed because of wildfires. And then over in this direction, we are going to be driving along the Loxa River for most of the drive. Then that eventually turns into the Clearwater River. And because my windshield is dirty and gross, I'm going to be recording this drive with the GoPro mounted on the outside of the car with this big old magnet on the bottom. So that's gonna go right here, and we're gonna do a time-lapse drive over this way. Okay guys, it's something like an hour and a half later now, and this is what we've been trying to get around. And so we did. Drove up the paved highway for 30 something miles, and then drove up that dirt road, a winding dirt road up the mountain for what on earth? This is interesting. I'm guessing this is to protect it from fire? Huh. It's wrapped in foil. These informative signs wrapped in foil right here. I've never seen that before. Yeah, here's another one. Huh. Alrighty, so we're on the Lolo Motorway now. It's really smoky up here. It's incredibly smoky up here, as you would expect from being in close proximity to a wildfire. I can smell it. I could smell it in the car, and then, you know, my eyes are stinging a little bit because of the smoke. And we'll get better views as we continue along the ridge as we keep driving, but you can see a little bit of the neighboring mountain over there, just very hazy through the trees. And by my estimate, we've skipped about the first half of the Lolo Motorway, of this dirt road that's on this high ridge up here. So, not ideal, but you know, it gives us a good reason to come back in the future for another go at it, right? And so, like I said, this is the route that Lewis and Clark took as they crossed these mountains on their expedition in both 1805 on their way to the Pacific Ocean, and then also the next year, 1806, as they went back from the Pacific Ocean. And naturally, they camped along the way up here. So there are a number of different campsites that you can visit. We don't have their exact locations, I think, for a lot of these, but for some we have a pretty good idea that this is probably one of the spots where they camped, and we are going to be hiking to one of those spots right now. I think this right here is the trail we're going to follow. It leaves the road. There's a sign that says no mechanized vehicles, but apart from that there's no signage here, so I think this is where we want to go. Okay, we do have a sign here, a little ways up the trail. You can see where I parked down there by the road. So this says Lewis and Clark Trail, and then also Nimi Poo Trail, Sinque Hole, and Smoking Place. We are going to the Sinque Hole. And Lewis and Clark had a Native American guide that took them this route, I believe because there were trails, there were Native American trails up here, and I think that's what Nimi Poo Trail refers to on that sign over there. Alrighty, after just 10 or 15 minutes of hiking, we have arrived at the Sinque Hole. So you might have noticed that on those signs, it's spelled oddly. It's S-I-N-Q-U-E and not S-I-N-K. And that is because that comes directly from the journal of either Lewis or Clark. I don't remember which one. And like I said, Lewis and Clark historians aren't entirely positive that this is one of the campsites of the Corps of Discovery as they moved their way west, or maybe it was back east. I don't remember which way they were going. But they described a sinkhole with water in it kind of on the ridge, and there aren't too many of those around. So I think this one is pretty safe to say that it was an actual campsite. And I'll put the excerpt from the journal on the screen here so you can see exactly what they said about this spot. We're only another about 3 miles up the road now, but we're gonna go for another little hike. You know, I was expecting that a lot of this video would be just me driving, only driving. And as I drive this road that more or less follows the ridge top up here, like right now the top of the ridge is like up here, but we're pretty close to the top and we've had some great views out this way. The plan was to fly the drone a lot as I did this, but I don't want to interfere with any aerial firefighting efforts that are going on. You know, that is a problem where people are flying drones near wildfires and, you know, the helicopters and everything can't safely operate there, the ones that are fighting the fire. And so I will fly the drone a little bit more as we go farther to the west. Let's see, farther to the west and as we go away from the fires. But for now, we're gonna be a little bit more conservative and not fly the drone very much. And I was also going to drive up what I thought was a road right here, but it has clearly been bulldozed so that you can't drive up it. So we're just gonna hike maybe 10 minutes or so up this road. All right, I think this is the top of the little mountain that I've been hiking up. And I was wondering why there was a road here at all, but I think there was a fire lookout tower or hut up here at some point, because I don't know what else these concrete foundation blocks would have been here for. Oh, and then on this one over here, it looks like there's a benchmark from a survey. Let's see, what does this say? There's an arrow and it says RM number 2, 1966. And there's another one on the neighboring block. Yep, this one says RM number 1, 1966. This mountain is called Indian Grave Peak, and I think this boulder here is the highest natural point that isn't a tree up here. So we're gonna say that we tagged the summit right there. The elevation up here is 6,440 feet. Not super high in the grand scheme of Western United States peaks. Oh yeah, and there's a third benchmark survey marker thing up here. It says Indian Grave Peak. Same year, 1966. I came up here for a few reasons. First of all, I thought I would be able to just drive to the top of this mountain. That didn't turn out to be the case, but even so, it was only like a 15-minute hike to get up here. Not too bad. I wanted to tag the summit, right? Like I wanted to climb a mountain. And when you're in such close proximity to several mountaintops along this ridge that extends for dozens of miles, you might as well take the chance to go to the top of a couple of them. And so we're gonna do that today. Also, I thought that there would be views from up here that didn't really pan out. I can see little bits and pieces of mountains around here, but there were actually some pretty good views a little ways below the peak, a few minutes below the peak. So let's go back there. Actually, before we get there, I just stumbled across this. Looks like it's been dug out a little bit and there was some sort of structure here. So either this was an outhouse or maybe some kind of cellar, like a food storage area, because there are a bunch of cans out here that I've noticed. There's a can right there, another one right there. Also, I don't know what this thing is. What is this? It's heavy. Feels like it looks like even it's full of cement. What is this thing? Yeah, here's another look at it. Odd. Here we go. Here's the view I wanted to show you guys. And you can see what conditions are like today. Pretty hazy, pretty smoky. And in fact, I think this is the fire right here. Do you see that little, looks like a little hill that's smoldering? Looks like that's where the fire in this area is. There's also a little plume of smoke right there, I noticed. I don't know if this is the fire that's causing all of this in the, oh, look at this. Looks like that's some smoke over there too. And some flames maybe? It's hard to tell, hard to see in person and hard to see in the little screen on my camera, but that's it. That's the fire. Anyway, you might remember that this mountain that we were just on top of is called Indian Grave Peak. And I was looking at the map, at the National Forest maps of this area, the US Forest Service maps of this area, and I saw the Indian Grave, which I presume is the namesake for this mountain. I saw that marked on the map. So let's see if we can go find the Indian Grave, whatever that means. I'm gonna save you some time by not showing you the last 15 minutes of wandering around this forest that I've been doing, looking for the grave or looking for anything really, and I found something. So we have a sign here that says Indian Grave, and then it also says smoking place is half a mile to the right. And I think that's also a spot that Lewis and Clark mentioned in their journals, so that's over this way somewhere. But look at this, I thought this was pretty interesting. We have a grave here, but it's not an Indian grave, at least I don't think it is. So this says Albert Parsons Malakin, died in the summertime at the age of 14 years, born in Issy at Camia, Idaho, son of Helen and Eugene Malakin, buried on the old Nez Perce Indian Trail at the place now called Indian Grave. And then we have this right here, which looks like it's protecting the actual grave site. And so I'm a little bit confused. Was Albert the Indian who died, or is this another person who died up here at a place that was already called Indian Grave? You know, I'm not entirely sure. I do know that Lewis and Clark also camped somewhere in this area because there is a camp of theirs called Indian Grave Camp. And I think that was just up the ridge that way, you know, somewhere within a few hundred feet of this area as I understand it. Pretty interesting spot. Okay, it is 2 o'clock, I'm starving. Let's head back to the car, and I think I'm gonna drive around until I find a campsite, a nice midday siesta spot. And then I'm gonna have lunch, and I wanna show you the hitch basket thing. Well, that didn't take long. I drove about 10 minutes up the road, found this cool campsite on top of the ridge. So for this last little section, the last several hundred yards, the road has been right on the ridge top. And so you can see a little bit over on both sides. But from this campsite, check this out. Awesome view over here. Again, the smokiness adds a little bit of intrigue, a little bit of mystery to it maybe. Amazing view. And then here's a better look at the actual campsite proper. I'm not going to spend the night here. I still have lots of driving I want to do today, but I thought this would be a good little spot to take a break, have some late lunch. I bought this pack of 4 little turkey slider sandwiches yesterday. I've eaten 3 of them, so I'll have the final one here, and then I have some blueberries and some sparkling water that I just knocked off the log. Let me enjoy this for a little bit and enjoy the beautiful spot, the beautiful view, and then we'll talk about the cargo carrier. So the story of the hitch basket goes back 8 or 9 months ago to way earlier in the year. That was when I bought the rooftop tent that I've had on here for most of the year and that I've camped in all summer. Before that, my setup on top of the Land Cruiser was I had a big Thule roof box, and on top of that I had a solar panel, and then next to it I had some other stuff like recovery boards and whatever else I decided to strap to the top of the rack. So that all was good as long as I had the rooftop tent, but I sold the rooftop tent not too long ago. It was a couple weeks ago, but I no longer have the cargo box that was up here because I gave that away when I bought the rooftop tent. And so I was looking online, looking for other used and even new hard shell cargo boxes, rooftop cargo boxes, but I couldn't really find anything that I really wanted. And so I thought, okay, what other options are there? The first thing I thought of was one of those soft-sided bags that's made to go on top of your car that has straps on it. You can strap it to the roof rack you already have, and you can fill it up with whatever gear you want. So I bought one of those from Walmart. It was about $50. And frankly, I hated it. I took it out of the bag and was like, I don't like how this thing looks. I don't like how thin the material is. I don't like how it's just gonna flap around on top of the car. And so I was like, this isn't gonna work for me. I took it back that same day. So I was thinking, okay, what other options do I have? Well, I thought about how at Harbor Freight, they sell rooftop cargo baskets and also hitch mounted baskets like this. And this basket was actually, I think it was $50 or $60. So basically the same price as the soft-sided rooftop one from Walmart. And then the roof baskets at Harbor Freight are like $100 or something like that. And this was all happening 2 days ago. So 2 days ago, I bought the soft thing, didn't like it, returned it, and was thinking, okay, which of those two other ones from Harbor Freight do I buy? And I mentioned Harbor Freight just because I knew I could get one that day because I was leaving the next day on this trip. And I have a Harbor Freight like 10 minutes away from where I live. And so I couldn't really decide which one I wanted, if I wanted the hitch basket or the rooftop cargo basket thing. And so I put out a poll on YouTube, and the hitch basket won by about a margin of 2 to 1. It was like 60-something% in favor of the hitch mounted basket and 30-something% in favor of the top basket. And by the way, I'm not opposed to getting both of them, to getting the roof basket too and testing that out. So let me know if you would like to see that. So anyway, I've been talking about it long enough. Let me show you this thing. So Harbor Freight actually has a couple of these hitch baskets. This one is made for ATVs, believe it or not. And I wanted the ATV one because the ATV one has this part. The regular one made for cars and SUVs and everything just comes out straight. It doesn't have that 45-degree angle. And I wanted that because I go on dirt roads and I need all the clearance I can get. And this thing, I mean, this is like 2 or 3 feet of clearance right here. There's a ton of space underneath that thing, which is exactly what I wanted. And so you might have noticed that I took off the license plate here and mounted it here so that this thing wouldn't block the license plate. But I realized only after I moved it that it doesn't block it. Like you can see the license plate clearly right here because this isn't that tall. So I'm probably gonna switch this back pretty soon to be over here. But anyway, it's just attached to this with some wire and also some zip ties. And so this thing is a truck box that I've had for years. I bought this from Walmart, again, years and years ago, probably 10 years ago now. And I've been using it for just storage in my basement, but it's super heavy duty, super solid. And so this is just attached to the hitch basket with a couple of cargo straps, of ratchet straps. And so I'm not gonna open this up right now. I'll tell you what's inside of it. It's some fishing gear that's wet, it's still drying out. I went fishing yesterday and I wanted a place to put my wet gear. And then also as this trip goes on, as the days go on, I'm gonna be putting trash in here if I'm away from towns for multiple days. And then also I can put dirty clothes in there. And then right here I have a 2-gallon gas can that is, again, super solidly attached with a ratchet strap. And that's it. And this isn't a review yet of this thing because I want to use it for more than just a couple of days before I make a full video review of this. But I wanted to show it to you because you'll be seeing it in the upcoming videos. And so I wanted to give you an idea of what it's like and what I'm using it for. And I obviously still have space here. I have a lot of space inside the box here. I could put a much bigger box on here, but so far I'm pretty happy with it. It feels super solid. Like I can put all of my weight on this thing and it doesn't budge. I think the weight limit technically is 300 pounds. And so with this stuff and me, that's still less than 300 pounds. And so, yeah, super solid. I'm pretty happy with it. Again, for $60, I don't really have too much to complain about so far. I still am gonna be on the lookout for a good used rooftop cargo box, but in the meantime, this'll get me through. And I wanted to show you that the tailgate still does go all the way down. I have about 3/4 of an inch of clearance, so this box here is just a perfect fit. And again, so far, so good. Anyway, enough dilly-dallying. Let's hop back in the car and continue along this beautiful ridgetop dirt road. Welcome to tonight's campsite, and it's an interesting one. This is the only clearing I've seen for miles and miles and miles in any direction. I saw some other campsites, but they were nestled deeper in the forest. This, for some reason, has been cleared, and so this is where I'm spending the night. It's perched on a ridge, and unfortunately there aren't really views here because this wall of trees blocks the view. You can see a little bit of neighboring ridges and hillsides over there, but apart from that, we are just hemmed in by the forest here. I don't know what this was or why this little road is here or why this was cleared, but I'm happy to spend the night here. What a drive, what a road, and I'm still not out of it. I still have like 10 or 15 miles of dirt road driving to get to that main highway, the one where we started the video, Highway 12. But we're closer to the western end of it now. I've been driving for the last like 7 or 8 hours, or maybe even 9 hours on dirt roads up here. I've seen, I think, 3 people. It took me basically all day to drive, what, half of the Lolo Motorway? Pretty incredible, I think. You know, I saw some people online say that you need at least 2 and maybe 3 or 4 days to do this drive. And I looked at the mileage and I thought, how is that possible? Why is that the case? But having been here now, I get it. Like it's a slow road. Like you can't go very fast on that road. Lots of twists and turns. And by the way, I would not take any kind of trailer on that road in case you're thinking of doing that, because the places to pass, if you see someone coming the other way, are so, narrow that, and few and far between, that would just be a nightmare. You'd be clogging up the whole mountain up there. I also wouldn't take a sedan on this road. I think something with a little bit more clearance is what you're gonna want. I think the RAV4 could have done it, something with medium clearance, but I was happy to have some high clearance with this guy. But man, what a cool road, what a cool drive. I highly recommend the Lolo Motorway. Even more than a lot of places that I show on this channel, I think it's hard for me to convey what it was like to drive that road. Just driving this super narrow winding road on top of a mountain ridge all day. It was something really, really unique and special. And if you remember those foil covered signs that we saw toward the beginning once we got onto the ridge, as I moved farther to the west, as I did the rest of the drive, I definitely saw some more of the foil covered ones, but then I just saw the regular bare signs that weren't covered up. And so, I didn't feel like stopping at every one of those and reading to you from the sign about Lewis and Clark. But if you can do a drive like this, I definitely recommend it. Come up here, learn about Lewis and Clark and what they saw, what they did, what they experienced up here. And even if you don't care about that, even if you don't care about the history of the first Americans to cross what is now the United States, it's just a killer drive, just such a fun mountain drive. But you definitely want to be prepared, because at some points up there on that ridge, you're 50 miles of road driving from anything. And so if your battery dies, if you get a flat tire, you're toast up there, unless you come prepared for those occurrences. Oh, and real quick, here's a look at the inside of the Land Cruiser on this trip. A couple of sleeping bags, a couple of mattresses, a few pillows, and some great big windows to enjoy the beautiful scenery. I had a great time. I hope you guys did too. Let me know what you think. Let me know what your favorite part was. Let me know if you have any questions. Let me know what your experiences have been like up here on the Lolo Motorway or in northern Idaho in general. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one. Be sure to check out Adventure Know-How, my new site, where you can gain access to a map of all of my free campsites, plus monthly bonus videos that you won't find anywhere else. Learn more at adventureknowhow.com. And for links to everything else SUV RVing related, visit suvrving.com. Links to these sites and more will be in the video description.